This is the brand that revolutionized the sports car, changed history in motorsports. It took one look at the engineering rulebook and just threw it out the window, and now they are saving internal combustion engines with a new rotary engine and a sexy concept car to go along with it. You know who I'm talking about, it's Mazda, baby. And this is gonna be huge. Okay, so you're wondering, what's going on? Well, in late 2023, Mazda revealed this stunning little number, the Mazda Iconic SP concept, the sports car that suspiciously looked a lot like a modern take on an RX-7. And yeah, this sent the community wild, with rumors of a rotary-powered sports car making a comeback amongst an industry littered with EVs. But there was nothing concrete. Now, fast forward to January 2024 at the Tokyo Auto Salon, and it seems our dreams, they're coming true. Mazda CEO Katsuhiro Moro said in a speech that, well, with your encouragement, we are launching a rotary engine development group on February 1st to move closer to this dream. Celebrate Valentine's Day. Now, actually, that's not what it said. See, a dream that could mean a rotary engine in the iconic SP concept. And no, I don't think anybody's dreaming. Moro said that he was deeply moved by the enthusiasm and encouragement he received for the project, giving all of us car nerds a little nod of respect. What? I'm so freaking stoked.
Okay, so what do we know about the rotary concept so far? Well, we know it'll have a 365 horsepower hybrid powertrain. We know it'll have 50-50 weight distribution. It's only going to weigh around 3,100 pounds, about as light as the brand new 911 ST, and the rotary? They said it'll run on more than just gasoline. More on that later, I promise.
And that wasn't even all the Auto Salon fun that we got either. They also announced the launch of what they're calling Mazda's Spirit Racing, the newest high-performance sub-brand of Mazda. And just like Mazda Speed was back in the day, love that Mazda Speed 3, the 6, and the Protege, they're gonna build some badass tuned versions of your favorite cars. And maybe, just maybe, that next-gen rotary system will be plopped into a Mazda Spirit Racing car as well.
Alright, so Mazda is working on a new rotary. But you might ask yourself, hasn't it already made a comeback? Isn't it being used on the MX30 REV right now? And just what makes Mazda's relationship with this engine so special? The rotary's love for revs, simplicity, and power potential made it a product that could theoretically work in any segment of car, so long as it was tuned appropriately. And while several automakers tried making it work over the years, Mazda was the only one who was able to get it right. In addition to a few pedestrian cars, they created the beautiful and extremely fun FB, FC, and FD RX-7s. Because of the rotary engine, they were lightweight, fun, different, and very, very good to drive. All of these had twin rotor engines, but some of them, like the iconic FD, were fitted with twin sequential turbos as well. And that engine, in no small part, is part of the reason why the FDRX7s are considered JDM royalty today. In fact, the rotary was so insanely good that Mazda used it in probably the most unique and iconic Le Mans racer of all time, the 787B. It used 4 rotors, revved to 9,000 RPM, and made a noise that sounded like the Earth's atmosphere was being split in two. It took the overall win at Le Mans and became the first Japanese car ever to do so. All of the rotary hype made its crescendo with the RX-7 successor, the RX-8, and it was at this point that the rotary's, let's say, true colors were revealed. In an attempt to make the new Renesis meet emissions targets and remain financially viable, compromises were made. Oil consumption, apex seals, vacuum lines being melted by the engine's heat, and to top it all off, it was low on torque and high on fuel consumption. Customers were pissed, and rotaries were dropping like flies.
God legs motherfucking suck.
It all led Mazda to abandon the rotary for good, or at least until 2015 when they revealed the RX Vision concept car. But early development tests of a revised Renesis looked grim. It was underpowered, still unreliable, and downright inefficient. Enthusiasts considered that the last straw, and unfortunately, it seems so did Mazda. The glorious rotary was shot down once again as soon as it stepped into the light. But as you know, they didn't give up. For the sake of enthusiasts everywhere, and the legacy of the RX-7, Mazda is trying again. And that brings us back to today, with the new SP concept being shown off and a new dedicated rotary engineering team being put into action. I never thought I'd be saying those words. And even though the new Rotary project will be a huge rethink of the old Wankel design, Mazda already had a head start with something called the MX30 REV. Yes, it looks like any other EV crossover, but instead of a huge battery that needs to be charged from an outlet or a station, it's charged by a single rotor rotary engine. Of course, that means the rotary engine isn't powering the wheels at all, but rather powering the electric motors that do all the work.
But don't worry, my Dorito-headed friends, that's why Mazda has a new team working on further development. Now, they've confirmed that it will be a hybrid, but if they were gonna use the same powertrain that's in the MX30 Rev, the sports car concept would probably already be nearing production. So, what makes this one different?
Well, the likely solution might look like this. Instead of using the rotary as a range extender for the battery and electric motors, the electric stuff might be turned into a range and power extender for the rotary. Thanks to the extremely low pumping losses of a rotary engine, especially one with variable intake and exhaust port geometry, stay with me, we'll get to that in a second, it could actually make a lot of sense to bolt an electric motor directly to a rotary engine's output shaft. We don't know for sure, but Mazda's well aware that whatever they end up building, it must be extremely engaging to drive. That's tricky to do with an engine that works as a range extender. I mean, think of cars with CVTs or the Prius. But Trav, I thought the rotary was a bad design and they all blow up anyway. Well, I hear ya. And what a smooth, sexy voice you have. But don't worry, even the rotary that's in the hybrid MX30 has gone through a ton of work. 25% thicker apex seals, an aluminum housing instead of an iron one, and new apex seal coatings that are far more resistant to wear. We fully expect to see these improvements in the new sports car once it's announced, and considering the likelihood of the rotary powering the wheels, we're hoping they opt for a turbocharged two-rotor instead of the single. Look, I know all this hybrid rotary talk can feel complicated and confusing, so let's keep the confusion coming, because Mazda has developed variable valve timing for their next-gen rotary engine. Yeah, they made a variable cam system on an engine that doesn't use cams. What? It sounds insane, but it could make its way into the new sports car concept. Here's a really quick explainer. Mazda designed a two-port housing for the rotor, so the rotor tip passes a primary intake first, and then another intake port right after that, essentially allowing the intake sequence to take longer, which means more air and more power. And the variable part of all that is a little throttle valve that can open and close that secondary port depending on when the engine needs more or less power. Got it? Good. The second part of this VVT arrangement comes from the electric assist motors in the hybrid system. Mazda designed that electric motor to be able to speed up or slow down the rotor itself very slightly in order to prolong or shorten the intake period. Slowing the rotor down increases the intake period and makes more power, while speeding it up makes it sip less fuel. Okay, so why am I telling you about all this? Well, not only could an evolution of this design absolutely find its way into the new rotary sports car, but it could also help explain the multiple types of fuel that I talked about earlier. Remember? If this new engine can run on various fuels like gasoline, diesel, synthetic fuels, and even hydrogen, which Mazda actually confirmed, then that complicated VVT system could be what's used to alter the combustion intensity and rotor's timing to work with each kind of combustible. Or I guess what I'm saying is that tech might be how it's able to do that.
Look, we can't know whether any of these small details and predictions will happen until we get closer to a production version, but hey, we're lucky to even be making guesses about this thing right now. And that's all thanks to Mazda. This is the company that has never been afraid to innovate and try new, unpopular concepts head on with no hesitation. I mean, they made rotaries work and actually put them into production. They made the best roadster of all time at a point when no one else was playing in the space. They built the first Japanese car to win the 24-hour of Le Mans, and it sounded incredible doing it. And they've continued to dominate in modern times too. So many other models are leaders in their segment and are committed to being actual driver cars. You know, like BMW M cars were back in the day when they gave a shit about driver engagement. Yeah, look, we love Mazda, and we love that they've put in the time and work, listening to their enthusiasts and bringing back to life a kind of sports car that no one even thought could exist again. So, what are your thoughts on all this? Are you stoked Mazda is working on yet another rotary-powered sports car, or how about the new Spirit Racing division? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Please remember to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. And, well, if you enjoyed this vid, check out this ideal vid up here, or whatever YouTube recommends you watch next down here. I'm Brad the Financial Cowboy. This is Ideal, and promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.